Hello, everybody. It's Arkansas Minuteman 0864 here. I'm going to take a minute and talk about a book that I picked up years ago. It was written by 5th Special Forces Group during the Vietnam War, and it was lessons learned, techniques, tactics, and procedures that were developed by the long-range recon units underneath MAC-VSOG. I learned about this book originally from a cousin of mine, and years ago he had given me a copy of the original book he had because he was with 5th Group over there for 2.5 years, and he ran recon missions in Cambodia, Laos, and in North Vietnam also. But the book I'm talking about is the Combat Recon Manual, uh, written by Special Forces 5th Group in particular. And it's called B52 Tips, Jungle Recon Tips of the Trade. If you go out on Amazon, you can Google B52 Tips, and usually this book will pop up in there. And I have used this as a guideline for a lot of stuff. Be exact, 5th Special Forces Group at Fort Bragg here in the last, 3, maybe 4 years at the most ago, they went back and they took this and they reevaluated it, and they have now taken additional lessons learned from conflict since Vietnam, and they have updated a version of this, which I'm still trying to get hold of a copy of it. But it's a really good book. It covers a little bit of everything. How to set your weapon up, and the do's and the don'ts, how to set up your load bearing equipment tips, how to set up your weapon, and all that kind of stuff. Teaches you how to move into your recon patrol base for a run. It teaches you one tip in here that he used continuously when he was overseas in Vietnam, and it's in here also, is to go, and when you're coming up for a run at night, you go through an area and you look it over as you're passing through it, and you decide that's where you want to settle down for the night and set up your perimeter. Then he would pass through it. He'd go for another click, half a click, 1 click, and he would stop like they were setting up a run, and they would set it up at dark. They'd do their meal, and as soon as it got dark, they would quietly ease out of that rod, and then they would move back to the one they originally picked out. Sometimes he would pick it, and he'd sit down, and as he said, his gut would tell him something weren't right. And after, he wouldn't even let his 2 Americans with him, because it was usually him and 2 American sergeants, because he was the captain at the time. And then he would have several Montagnards with him, and he'd make them look like they were unpacking, but they wouldn't unpack. And they would, after dark, when it got good and dark, then they would ease out of that rod, and they'd move, 2, 3, 400 meters in a different direction from there. And that's where they set up their run at. That's where they stayed at. And I've heard him talk about, they've been several times at about 2 in the morning where they were originally stopped at, that the North Vietnamese would go and mortar that area. Well, when they went in to check it, there weren't nothing there. They'd done left. They'd been gone for a couple of 3 hours or so. So this is just a down and dirty and quick, short deal to give you an idea. But go out and Google or go on Amazon and look for this book, and you can just put in the B52 tips, jungle recon tips of the trade, and it's the Special Forces Combat Recon Manual. I think you all will enjoy it. It's good reading. It's got some really good information that's still in use today. Even though it's 60 years old, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, but it covers everything. It's some of the on the back here, give you a quick rundown. It's got a general section, tips on your M16 Car 15, which you can pretty much modify for any weapon that you might be carrying. Load bearing equipment, the recon part, something that none of us probably will ever have to deal with, but how to deal with forward air controllers, how to set up your remain overnight camp, how to break out of an encirclement, how to do a PW snatch, movement techniques, and infill and exfiltration, which we probably won't deal with that latter one either, because we're going to be in our own backyard and we ain't got to have a big army to call on to come bail us out if all goes wrong and we get ourselves in a bad bind. So go and look it up. Pick it up, read it, study it. I think you will find that a lot of tips are very workable in your situation, or you might be able to modify them and make them work. Some of them you may have to modify to make work for what you're doing. So this is just a quick down and dirty and give you another tip. So in the meantime, keep patrolling, pay attention to details, and stay alive. And this is the Arkansas Minuteman 0864 signing off.